What's up, guys? Welcome to a new YouTube video. Again, I'm excited to provide more and more of these more frequently with the intent of, again, helping you entrepreneurs develop into the versions of yourselves you need to mentally, physically, and otherwise, so you can go out and achieve your max potential in your life, in your business, in your vision, and ultimately your impact you want to create on the world. And obviously there are hundreds, if not thousands, of departments of one's self-growth that we need to look at in order to actually become this elite version of yourself. But today we're going to focus on one specific category, which is your emotional state. And even this little category has a lot of different rabbit holes built within it. But what I want to look at today is building the skill of leveling up your emotional state with the application of this, like the practicality of this, the utility of this, being more consistent and higher quality execution in your vision. And this will be more applicable for some of you than it is for others, because some of you on one side of the spectrum are able to execute in your business no matter what. You're feeling down, you're feeling up, it doesn't matter. You're showing up, you're consistent, you're pushing through, you're grinding in the trenches, and that's a skill in itself. It comes naturally to some of you it doesn't. Some of you hit the littlest emotional kind of divot with anxiety or overwhelm or a little bit of depression or self-doubt, or there could be a number of different things, and it immediately impacts your execution in your business. And if you feel even a tad of something, you're not really able to execute at a high level. And for those times where you have those bigger emotional hits, where you feel a big dose of anxiety or whatever, it takes you out for hours or even days or even weeks. And I've been on both sides of these spectrums, of this spectrum throughout my journey. There's been times where I'm able to, put my head down and execute no matter how I'm feeling. And there's also been times where if I feel like I'm even going down a little bit of a spiral, I just say, I can't work. I need to go, meditate or journal. And that leads into a caveat that I want to make here, is that there are sometimes different contexts which call for different things. For example, some contexts call for you learning how to change your emotional state so that you can go execute and you can level up your emotions and go do the thing, right? And there are some contexts that require you to really, put work aside a little bit to feel the emotion in order to process it. Maybe a trigger's coming up or some childhood trauma, where it wouldn't serve you to just change your emotional state and go work. It would actually be a higher ROI play, even according to business, to take an hour or a day or multiple days to feel, to process, to heal. And then after those 3 days, as a much more healed, lighter version of yourself, then go full force into business. And I can't say in a video like this a blanket statement on which contexts are better for feeling and which contexts are better for leveling up your emotion and then grinding. Honestly, it's because I don't even have a full answer to that myself yet. It's a question I ask myself, even currently in the current chapters of my own self-growth and my own entrepreneurship journey, when is it the right time to level up my emotion, push through? When is it the right time to take a step back and to feel and to process? And there's been multiple circumstances in my life where I've chosen one or the other, and both of them are important. But today we're going to focus on just the aspect of leveling up your emotions, and then such that you can go execute, right? This whole side of things is a completely another bucket, a completely other department of your self-growth, and I do not want to trivialize it with this video. I want to make sure that I make it clear that there is a time and a place for processing and feeling and not working. And I've personally benefited and utilized that side of the spectrum. I think it's crucial, and I think that a lot of entrepreneurs can benefit from it and honestly need it in certain contexts. But again, we're going to leave that there, perhaps for a future video where we can go deeper on it. But today, again, I just want to go over two simple little tools in your tool belt that you can use to level up your emotions very quickly and effectively, such that if you're in a low point to start the day and you decide that, again, like you don't want to take like an hour or a day to heal, and you've made the call to instead level up your emotions and then get to it, I want you to be able to have tools in your toolkit to be able to do that. Because again, there's time and a place for both. I want to equip you in this department today. So that was a long preface to this. The tips themselves are actually quite simple. And the first one is leveling up your physiology. Your physiology meaning your body, your face, facial expressions, your posture, your movement, right? So if you're in a low state, if you're in a low kind of depressed or anxious or overwhelmed state, there are certain physiologies that are close cousins of those low-level vibrations, those low-level states. If I asked you to describe to me a depressed person, you'd say, oh, maybe their shoulders are hunched over, maybe their head's down a little bit, maybe their face is kind of like blank, right? And alternatively, if I asked you describe to me an excited or an exuberant person, you'd be maybe their shoulders are back, they're smiling, maybe their voice is a little bit stronger as opposed to shallow, right? And so physiology is very closely correlated with the state you're in. And so if you find yourself in a low state, one of the most quickest and most effective things you can do in order to change it is to move your body. Get up, move, jump, go for a run, go for a walk, go for a workout, do some push-ups, dance, put on a song and dance and sing. These things will actually raise your emotional vibration. It's very effective. It's kind of hard to do because when you're in those low-level vibrations, they can be very addicting and it's hard to get out of them. It's hard to make the decision and deploy the discipline to go out and dance when you feel like crap. So it's a practice, it's a skill, and I'm not saying this is easy, I'm just saying it's effective. And so that's the first pillar, is when you're in those low-level vibrations, you want to change your state, move your body first. Go out, run, music, smile, dance. All these things are effective. You can find your favorite ways to do that. Pillar number 2, and this one's a little bit more intricate, which is the story you're telling yourself or the meaning you're associating with a certain event. And this may or may not be applicable, or this will be applicable for some low-level states that you get in, and this may not be as applicable for some low-level states you get in. But oftentimes, especially as entrepreneurs who are constantly digesting different types of adversity and challenges and, the emotional roller coaster, right? It's often due to the stories we tell ourselves around the facts that really nail us. For example, let's say somebody backstabs you in business. They they lie to you and they take your money. Maybe you're a partner, something like this. Entrepreneur 1 could come up with a story, either consciously or unconsciously, saying, they wronged me. I'm such a dumb person. I'm an idiot. I'm a bad entrepreneur. I'm never going to succeed. Entrepreneurship is hard. This sucks. And they could come up with a various different kind of self-deprecating stories around the fact that somebody screwed them over, right? Entrepreneur number 2 could have a much more empowering story. They could say, you know what, looking back, I definitely made that mistake of bringing this person on as a partner. There are definitely like this red flag, this red flag, this red flag. I didn't realize it at the time. I was a bit too naive at the time to realize that. Now, sure, this lesson stings. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I learned this lesson, this lesson, and this lesson. Now I'm actually a more effective entrepreneur, and I'm going to take the more effective entrepreneur version of myself into this next venture. The fact that this person screwed me over shows that they weren't meant for me in the long term, and now this actually opens the door for a more prosperous relationship or a more prosperous partnership. And this is actually good. Let's go. And then that person's crushing it later that day, the next day, they're back at it, right? So same fact, same event, different story, different trajectory that the person goes. And also, to the point of this video, different emotional state too. The person who's labeling that event as like something that sucks is going to have a low emotional state. The entrepreneur that's labeling that fact as something that's good is going to have a high emotional state, high action, high energy, right? It's the story can dictate so much. And so that's just one tiny little example. There's so many different stories and events that could be, going on. There could be multiple stories. There could be contradicting stories. There's just so much in that department. But what I want to funnel that down into in regards to this video is if you have any, low-level emotions, maybe you have low-level emotions in a cyclical manner where it's not just random, it happens every, so often, you notice a pattern, or maybe it's just constant. Notice what patterns are going off in your brain, what thought patterns, what internal dialogue, what meanings are you associating with certain things that are causing those emotions. Are you associating a certain meaning? Are you viewing life a certain way? Are you viewing business a certain way? Are you viewing events a certain way? Start to isolate what are the internal dialogues going on under the hood, where previously you may not have been conscious or aware of them. They were just happening. But now if you really were to start taking a look on the inside, a deep look on the inside, even now, or especially when you're experiencing those emotions, what are you able to isolate there? Like if there are any stories, what meaning are you associating with a certain event? And maybe you realize, wow, like that event was X, Y, and Z, but I associated this crazy meaning towards it, and that has generated these emotions. You're going to start to have realizations like this. And as you gain awareness around it, you start to dictate the meanings that you associate to different events in a much more intentional manner. And this leads to you having a more sustainable, high emotional state. So again, it's easy for me to say. It's harder to practice these things and to gain awareness around it. Again, I'm not suggesting anything I say today is an easy process. This is dirty, hard self-development work, but it's high leverage work, and it's work that I think a lot of entrepreneurs need to do in order to truly develop into their elite self and to max out their potential in life and in business. And as I'm speaking right now, I feel like I've barely touched the surface in regards of the things I've said today, but that was kind of the point of this video. It wasn't meant to be like a super long 1, 2, 3 hour thing. And maybe there's a place for that as well. But today I just wanted to bring your awareness to these concepts. Again, if you want to change your state, change your physiology, and change your focus or the meaning you're attaching to things. And those two things can be super powerful for you in those instances where you decide that changing your state is the best way to go, as opposed to, again, going the route of, taking space and healing, which again has its place. But I'll leave it at that. Again, there's a lot more to say here, but I just wanted to bring this to you as tools to add to your mental toolkit and your arsenal as an entrepreneur to make you a more effective version of yourself and a more high performance version of yourself. So I hope that was valuable. Please let me know down below if you have any questions regarding these concepts or any other questions in general, or you can hit me up on Instagram as well. And besides that, thank you for watching to the end. I value your time, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.